And welcome to another segment of Kevin's Corner on the Shore Sports Network, of course, powered by Jersey Mike Subs. And today we get to catch up with a name familiar to some, should be familiar to a lot more. Phil Longo is the offensive coordinator at the University of North Carolina. And for those who would say, well, why would you have the OC from UNC on? Well, Phil's not only a Jersey guy, he's an Ocean County guy, grew up in Bayville. Played his high school football at Central Regional High School and has gone on to many stops on the road that has led him to Chapel Hill. And the timing for this could not be better because it was just earlier this week that Coach Longo was named one of the 15 semifinalists for the Broyles Award. That is a very prestigious honor that goes to the top assistant coach in the nation. And he's one of the 15 named this week. And he joins us from Chapel Hill. And Coach, thanks so much. I know it's always a busy time, but I appreciate you giving us a few minutes to catch up.
Oh, it's already been fun to listen to some of the names that you and I talked about, and have an opportunity to do something back at home is exciting to me. So I appreciate the invite.
Well, let's sort of go back a little bit for those that don't know. And I mentioned you grew up in Bayville. You know, your friends during your youth days playing football in your front yard included Chip LaBarca, who's had a lot of success as a high school coach in our area. But you then went on after Central. You went to East Stroudsburg. I know you played a little quarterback there, then transferred to Rowan, where I believe you might have played a little more running back. And then you started on the coaching carousel, and it would probably take most of our time to go through that carousel. But from Bayville to Chapel Hill, with a lot of stops in between, and it's really panned out for you, especially the couple of recent places you've been.
Well, truthfully, Kevin, I have had a ball at just about every job, and as much as this job kind of facilitates moving a bunch. It's never been our intention to move. You know what I mean? You just kind of want to make the place you are the place to be. And I think anytime we have an opportunity to go somewhere that's a little bit better for the family, sometimes we've said no, sometimes we've said yes. And here we are, the other end of 32 years of coaching, and we're at North Carolina, which is one of the best places I've been. And so we're enjoying football and family right now.
And when you say we, of course, you're referring to your wife, Tanya, and I believe you have 4 children, 3 daughters and a son.
Yep. Gianna 9, Makari is 7, and we have had 2 twins that will be 2 in January, Nico and Morgan.
Wife's got it very busy at home, I'm sure. And I guess you would second what a lot of coaches have said, that you can't do what you've done without tremendous support at home.
There's no way. And I think something you may not know, Tanya was a Division I women's basketball coach for 15 years. That's how we met when we were coaching in Minnesota. We met there. And in 2013, she decided to stop coaching so I could continue to pursue what I love to do, and that's coaching college football. So we went back to Division I, and she decided to homeschool our kids and raise them the right way, and that's kind of how we've been ever since.
Your coaching carousel started as a high school coach. Ironically, you were the head coach at Parsippany High School in the mid '90s to late '90s, and then, of course, the moves along the way. Did you ever expect when you started that this would be Phil Longo 30 plus years later, that you would be at a Division I school running one of the best offenses in the nation?
It was a goal of mine to coach at this level. At that time, you know, I didn't get married until I was 40. So it gave me some freedom to do some of the things that I needed to do, make some of the sacrifices I needed to make to really develop myself as a coach. And I didn't get married to Tanya until I was 40. And so our kids are younger, and it looks like, Kevin, I'm going to be coaching for quite a while
now. That's a good one. Let's talk a little bit about UNC. Now, first of all, you are working under Mack Brown, who's in his second tenure as the Tar Heels head coach. You were at Mississippi, had a lot of offensive success just a couple of years ago. How did Phil Longo end up in Chapel Hill under Mack Brown?
Well, we were at Sam Houston State for a number of years, and it was interesting because in 3 years we coached in 47 football games. We had continued through the playoffs all 3 seasons, so deep into the playoffs that we really it felt like Kevin playing in an NFL schedule. And then we went to Ole Miss, which was exciting, and had an opportunity to coach guys like DK Metcalf and AJ Brown and Jordan Ta'amu. But when Mack Brown called, there were 2 points of interest there. One, it's Mack Brown. I mean, you don't say no to Mack Brown. And the second thing is John Bunting, who was my college coach at Rowan University. That was his alma mater, and he had been the head coach at North Carolina himself. So it was fun to think that I might return to a place that I had visited so often to see my former college coach. And as you would well know, if you met Mac and talked to him, he's a really, really hard man to turn down.
Ironically, you mentioned John Bunting. He was one of your coaches at Rowan. The other was Casey Keeler, who you then hooked up with at Sam Houston State. And boy, did you have a lot of success there.
Well, John was our head coach and Casey was the offense coordinator. And so it looked like I was going to go to Delaware a number of times with Casey, and that didn't pan out. And then when he went to Sam Houston, it was an opportunity to go to one of my favorite states and play football and coach football. And so we got an opportunity to go down to Texas and coach at Sam Houston State. And, that was a very, very successful run. The 3 years we were down there, thoroughly enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, 2016, you were named the FCS Coordinator of the Year. Mentioned Mississippi, and now at North Carolina. You are known as someone who runs what's called the air raid offense. To someone who's not a diehard, devout X's and O's guys, what does that really mean to the layman?
So, the original air raid offense is really Mike Leach, and they're going to throw the football most of the game, Kevin. I think that the difference with us is if you've seen Oklahoma or the Kansas City Chiefs, the passing game is very much freedom oriented for the receivers. It allows a lot of freedom for the wideouts and the quarterbacks, and it's not as restrictive, I think, as some other systems. And so that's what we do in the passing game, but more like Kansas City and the Arizona Cardinals right now and Oklahoma, we are all air raid in the passing game, but in the running game, it's more of a downhill power system. So we've kind of combined those two, and that's been our offense for the last 24 years.
Well, the last 2 years at UNC, it's worked very well. Last year, the Tar Heels were 7-6. You ended up winning your last 3, beat Temple in a bowl game, your average was 474 yards a game, 30th in the nation. You were right up there in scoring. All of that. But this year, it's even gone to another level. The team is 8-3. You're averaging 43 points a game. That's 5th in the nation, 4th in average yardage per game. And for those like me who got a chance to watch the Miami game this past Saturday, that was probably an offensive real highlight. When someone says, send me some highlights, you could just send that game because you guys put up an amazing performance. The numbers were just staggering. 778 yards of offense, 554 on the ground. Did not punt the ball, did not turn the ball over, and beat the Hurricanes in Miami 62-26. That's one of those where everything just came together perfectly.
Yeah, I told Coach Brown last year we should be a touchdown to 10 points better a game this year, and we should be 70 to 100 yards better the second year. And the only reason I say that is we had a lot of returning players, and that typically has been the trend at all of our stops. And so because of their work and their commitment, that panned out. And I think what happens when you assemble the type of staff that Mack Brown has here at North Carolina, you get better every week as a team. And so I've always felt like it's more difficult to play us the second half of the season than it is the first half, because this is a team that is well coached and is committed on the player end of it. And so we're going to get better weekly. And we hit Miami at the end of the year and probably needed our best football to beat a team like that.
Phil, you guys are 8-3. You probably feel that there's a good chance you could have been 11-0, certainly 10-1. You had 2 3-point losses on the road against Florida State and Virginia. And then, of course, the Notre Dame game just a few weeks ago got off to a great start. They kind of shut you down a little bit defensively in the second half. What happened in that game? And is that one of those, boy, I'd like to do that one over? Or was it just the Fighting Irish were better that day?
Well, they were definitely better that day. I think the game plan we put together, we really liked. It worked really to perfection in the first half. We had 5 drives against one of the best defenses in the nation. We scored on 3 of them. The other 2 started at the 3-yard line, and one of them we weren't able to get out. The other one, we punted them to their 16. So when you don't score, you really want to have the opportunity to win field goal possession and get the ball inside the 20 if you're not going to put points on the board. And so the first half kind of went as scripted. And I think we didn't do much to make any adjustments at halftime because we felt like the plan was working. In the second half, we got out-fizzled up front. And, we struggled physically in the trenches, and that really was the difference between the first half and the second half.
Would be remiss if I didn't ask you, you play in the ACC. 2 of the top 4 teams in the college football rankings right now are from your conference. Notre Dame, who we mentioned, you lost 31-17. Clemson, who you did not play. Those 2 teams will play again this weekend for the conference championship. What are your thoughts on that game?
Oh, I think it's going to be a good football game. I probably would give the edge to Clemson. Trevor Lawrence, the starting quarterback, did not play in their first game. And we know Clemson very well. We played them to a 21-20 battle last year, and most of that team is back. And so it'll be interesting to watch that. I think it's 2 really, really good football teams. But if I were picking one, I'd probably say that with Trevor Lawrence back, I would give the nod to Clemson.
You, of course, are now waiting to find out what bowl game you might be played in. I know you could go to 10 different sites and get all that kind of stuff, but any thoughts on where you might be headed? And, several teams have already opted out of playing in a bowl game because of COVID. Are the Tar Heels committed to playing one more time this year?
Oh, absolutely. If you had told me in July that we would have gotten in all 11 games and be looking at a big bowl game this year, I would have hoped that was true, but I wasn't so sure because of the COVID issue. But we have only had 1 game affected this whole season. We got that we replaced Charlotte with Western Carolina. We played all of our ACC games. So we're sitting here at 8-3. And what will happen is if Clemson beats Notre Dame in a close game, then there's a good chance that both of those teams will make the college playoffs.
Right. If
that happens, then we have a very good shot at sliding into the Orange Bowl slot, which right now looks like we would play A&M. If for some reason that doesn't happen because those 2 teams don't make the playoffs or we don't get the nod for the Orange Bowl, then it looks like we'll either be in the Outback Bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl, or the Gator Bowl. But it's really down to those 4.
Gotcha. Now, of course, there's no such thing as a downtime in the college football coaching world, but you just finished recruiting day. You guys put together a really good recruiting class. You have to really feel good about the entire direction of this program.
Well, we knew that we were going to have to recruit our backyard and win the backyard, kind of the Quad State area around North Carolina. Last year's class in North Carolina is one of the best ever. And we successfully recruited the state of North Carolina, and I'd say I think all but 4 of the 18 signees are from the state. And we're very happy. We're in the top 10 with this recruiting class. 22 looks even better or just as good. And, I think the future is bright for Tar Heel football.
All right, so you've had a couple of head coaching opportunities in your career. I mentioned the high school at Parsippany. Early on in your career, you coached at LaSalle a couple of years there. Is Phil Longo a guy? I know you're in your early 50s. Are you a guy that is looking for a head coaching opportunity? You've mentioned that you've always done moves that, you thought were better for your family. So if that opportunity came along, would you listen?
Yeah, I think I would. I have so much respect for Mac Brown right now that he really has become the career advisor for me. My ultimate goal is to stay here for a while and help Mac develop a championship football team at North Carolina. I think if Notre Dame was not pandemically in the ACC this year, we would be in the ACC championship game with Clemson right now, competing for the ACC nod. But I think right now my focus is on our bowl game. Our focus is on North Carolina. We're building a pool out back here. We're set and happy in Chapel Hill. And I think down the road, I'd like to make one more move when the time is right and Coach Brown feels like it's a good opportunity, and we'll take a shot at being the head coach at another program at a later date.
You look good in blue anyway.
I love our Carolina blues. Best color I've been in.
One more thing. Do you ever get back to the Ocean County area? Do you have any family still here or friends? Do you ever get back home?
I have a lot of friends back in Ocean County. My folks still live in Bayville, and so I get back there every year, a couple of times at the least, a little bit for recruiting, but a lot just to see friends and family. So I enjoy returning to the Jersey Shore. It's been hard because I've been all over, but you always find time for family. So yeah, I get back every year.
Phil Longo, you have had an amazing journey, and it has been a very, very impressive one. And it's culminated with your nomination, one of the 15 top assistant coaches in the nation, which is really well deserved. We wish you luck with that, the Tar Heels in the bowl game. And I really do appreciate you taking a few minutes for your time. I've enjoyed tweeting with you during the course of the fall season, and we'll keep looking forward to those UNC Tar Heels putting up some big points.
I appreciate the invite. It's been a thrill, Kevin.
Phil Longo, offensive coordinator at the University of North Carolina. The Tar Heels ranked 15th in the nation.